Juror number 2, 2024. I saw this in the cinema last year, and I've watched it again on streaming service this weekend. The eponymous character is on the horns of a dilemma. Nicholas Hoult plays Justin Kemp, who's a journalist who's been called up for jury service. Um, Now, I missed the start when I was in the cinema last year, but I've had the chance to see it properly, and Justin and his wife Alison are expectant parents. However, Justin is due to serve on this jury in a couple of weeks, and it's just about the same time as Alison is due. So he makes a plea to be excused service at this time because of the pregnancy, because Alison is vulnerable, there's potential complications. However, the judge says no. So he becomes one of the 12 on a murder trial. And then, as he sits listening to the case, the familiarity of the circumstances start to dawn on him. And this is pretty horrifying because if you are familiar with the case, um, you can be excused jury service at that point if you know in advance, but he didn't realise. And that's the thing. I went on jury service when I was in 1992, so it's a really long time ago now, 33 years ago, Wood Green Crown Court. It was, I can't say obviously anything about it, but it was a really interesting experience being called for jury service. And I think this, having watched this, it's it sort of reinforces some thoughts about juries, but in some ways, um, I had a different experience. But of course, this is the USA, and people are different, and the law is different. So, as I said, Nicholas Hoult plays Justin Kemp. Tony Collette plays Faith Killebrew. She's the assistant district attorney prosecuting on the Carter case. That's the name of this particular murder case. There's Chris Messina. He plays Eric Resnick, the public defender who represents James Michael Scythe, who's the defendant. Gabriel Basso plays James Michael Scythe, who is the accused, the suspect. And another key person in this film is J.K. Simmons, who's Harold, a former homicide detective and one of the jurors at this point. Um, Now, gosh, it's fascinating. I find it a really interesting film, but it's kind of pretty scary. You think, wow, what would I do in those sort of circumstances? One thing about Justin is he's a recovering alcoholic, but he has ventured to this bar on this particular evening, which features in the case because something awful happens that night that he until now was unaware of. So he starts getting flashbacks. Um, that night, though he um, doesn't drink, he's recovering alcoholic. He went to the bar, he ordered a drink, and he says he didn't drink it. And that seems to be the case, but how whether people believe that or not is one of the factors. Um, so the next thing is he didn't tell his wife, and he so what happened was she texts him, and he's got he leaves the bar, and he's on his way. He gets in the car, he's driving along. Um, he's got a young daughter because I mean, 217 is the mile marker or something like that. It seems on the side of this road, and he thinks of his daughter's birthday, 17th of February, 217, as it is in the USA. Um, but when he gets the text from Alison, he immediately instinctively goes to his phone, and his eyes are off the road, and he hits something, and he's in shock. And he stops the car, pulls out, goes to the side of the road, looks over. There's a small bridge. It's dark, so he doesn't see anything. But with this jury case, we see, I mean, now he sees exactly what happened because a woman has fallen to her death off this bridge. And in the bar, there'd been an argument between her and her partner, and that is why we've got this defendant, James Michael Scythe, and he's accused. He had a row. He smashes a glass, and she walks out, and it seems like their relationship's very stormy, possibly. So he's shouting at her angrily, um, but she walks off into the rain, and she's not seen again until she's found in this ravine by a hiker. Sort of small ravine under the road at this point. So you can see what may have happened. I mean, this more or less is how the trailer plays out because you see all these like elements and you think, oh gosh, so this is what Justin is facing, that it's on his conscience. He may have, or probably did, knock into this woman when she was walking on the road, and she was thrown into the ravine and died. But the murder case is that um, it was it was James Michael Scythe who followed her. I mean, he claims he drove off. He didn't follow her, and he says he's innocent. And it's it's such a tangled, awful situation. You can see um, what the how um, Justin must feel because he talks to a lawyer, and the lawyer says his lawyer is a friend of his, is, as such, and he walks in and he explains the situation. The lawyer says, "You don't have a leg to stand on. Firstly, the no jury is going to believe that you didn't have a drink, and they're going to put two and two together, and you'll be done for a hit and run manslaughter case and be in for perhaps 30 years." So suddenly he's really scared. I mean, he's got a wife and a kid, I think, already, and another child on the way. And now he stands to lose everything. And so his conscience is playing really heavily on how he deals with this jury. I mean, the other members of the jury have been really judgmental. It seems all of them, they have a vote, and 11 of them are saying, "Oh, uh, this James Michael Scythe is obviously did it." I mean, yeah, people are judgmental. I've seen it so much. I've listened to a lot of talk radio. Um, Not everyone is judgmental, but um, I think another thing is people have busy lives. They're reluctant to be on a jury. They know they're called to be on jury. They need to do their bit for the justice process, but they don't want to. So if they can quickly get through the case and get back to their lives, they will. I mean, the thing is, actually, of course, in the UK it's different. But I remember doing a second case after we finished the first case. So it isn't. I don't know. Maybe it is different in the US, and if you finish your case, you can go back to your life. But I was called out for two weeks, something like that. I didn't do the full 2 weeks of service, um, but um, that's it's just like um, I knew that I'd be off work, and I wanted to do a good job of actually being sure that what was being said in court was paid attention to and actually do my bit for actually deciding, not just thinking, oh, you know, I've heard the, I've heard the uh, prosecution and defence, and I've made up my mind just like that. Listen to what the other jury members makes a lot of sense, and give them input myself. That's how I would feel. I'm not saying this is what happened because I'm not saying anything about when I was in jury service. But this is how I would be if I was in a jury now. Um, I think that's what I've always been like. I want to be fair. I mean, we all have conscience. We all have, or should have, a conscience. And someone being guilty when they're not guilty, or vice versa, being let off. I mean, there's reasonable doubt as well. There's a lot to think about when it comes to jury service. It's an onerous task, and we need to um, take it really seriously. And it feels like a lot of people um, on this jury, and maybe many juries, don't. And I really would like to see other jury films like 12 Angry Men. I've seen that before. But I know that all of no, I won't say anything about that. I don't want to give spoilers away. No, I'll see the film and then I will give a review. How about that? So there's seeds of suspicions. Let's put it that way. I mean, uh, Justin knows more about things than the other members of the jury, and he sows doubt into other people's minds. And there's this J.K. Simmons, Harold, the homicide detective, who is the first to be convinced. But then other things happen. I won't go into that because obviously, spoiler territory. I don't want to talk about the film. So, um, um, it's just really, really quite a thought-provoking film. So um, I'd say It's worth a watch. It really is worth a watch. There's a lot to it. The main takeaway is don't use your phone while you're driving. No one should. The joggers, there are people walking. Animals deserve to live. I mean, like, even if you hit a deer, that's pretty awful. I think in the UK, if you hit anything substantial when it comes to animals, you need to stop and you need to report it. So a dog, I think the distinctions between a dog and a cat, and it's unfair on cats, I believe. But yes, a deer, you need to report it. And I guess one of the things, given that Justin didn't tell his wife about the route he took home, um, he may have said about the body work that needed doing on the car, but what a situation. Oh, gosh. So 8.75 is my score for this film. I really enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's like one of those you really get to feel what the people are like. Um, you know how difficult it is, how difficult a situation. Um, so I'm going to leave it at that. I think. You know, I kind of really liked how it finished. I liked some of the aspects. I think some. Well, it's probably realistic. I don't know what US the US court system's like. So, um, in terms of its plausibility, it felt plausible. Um, yeah, so 8.75. I'd love to know what you think about this film. Thanks if you subscribe. Please like if you like this review. Um, hit that notification bell, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.